Hey everybody, I'm Sprout. I'm an arborist, and today we are doing a surgical removal of Armillaria on a coast live oak tree. So I'm showing you kind of pretty much the end of the process that we just have to burn, and then we're going to go back to the beginning and take you through each step. All right, so we start off with the Bondmatic hand tools. This has a spade on one side and a pick on the other. These are just little cheapies, but they are really helpful for getting soil off the base of the trees. We've got the Fiskars hatchets here. These are nice and small so you can maneuver, but they still have some weight behind them and they sharpen really well. Burns-O-Matic MAP gas blowtorch to both keep the tools clean. So we actually will just burn the face of the hatchets and such, but then also we're going to be cauterizing. Just got these Hurricane chisels here, which are really nice. OG, this baby's been with us since the beginning. DeWalt multi-tool with just a standard wood carving bit on it. This thing is for more the detail work. And then we have the DeWalt angle grinders with an Arbortech wood carving bit on it. So this has 3 carbide teeth. The intention here is to get everything really nice and smooth. So you'll see all these tools in action in a minute. Okay, so just to give you guys a pretty clear shot, we've got some disease that's moving up the tree here, and then it likely wraps around on the bottom. This is all basal decay, so it's just got some margins on the side here, and we're going to want to remove all of the areas that are completely compromised. So we'll start typically at the top and make sure that the tarp is down. So you can see the top there where it's red is the healthy tissue. So we've already kind of got our clear margins. So you're essentially just wanting to follow it throughout the stem. It's super clear what's healthy tissue and what's not, so just keep on removing that until you find your clear barrier. This is kind of the center of it. Can you move it? So here Sienna is continuing to just kind of chase this fungus. You can see the various layers, right? So the red tissue, especially on these oaks, that's the phloem, nutrient transport tissue. And so you can see how compromised that is, but it's also good news that it's not going too far into the xylem. The most important thing is that we're just really wanting to preserve as much living functional tissue as possible. So we're never wanting to take too much. The hatchet can look a little aggressive at first, but once we get the angle grinder going, you'll kind of see. So essentially, yeah, you just keep going until you find your clear margin there. We're on the side, we found the edge. We've got the top that's pretty clean. And then down here, you can see how much more significant it is, and it's actually moving into the xylem, whereas up top, it's a lot more phloem is preserved. So something to note here, again, Armillaria is similar to Ganoderma in the sense that it is a soil fungi that moves up into the stem tissue of the tree. So we're gonna have to keep going down. And that's another piece of this is really root crown excavations and actually being able to give some space to the root collar. That's where a lot of this long-term support is gonna come through. But for now, we're just gonna kind of keep going. You can see the part of the tree here that's still intact, and the fungus is just going straight down into the soil. This is a really tricky little hillside. It's next to a road, and so we're sort of in this funky position. But we're just going to try to go down as deep as possible and then continue to excavate the root collar once everything's cleaned up. So I don't like to put too much debris on the soil when everything's open. So we will typically continue excavating and find the buttress roots after we've done the surgical removal of disease. Okay, so we are pretty much finished up with the hatcheting. You can see that it's still a little rough, but pretty comprehensive. We've got our clear top of the surgery here. Wound margins are clean, and we're going to start with the angle grinding now. So hopefully you guys won't have to contort like we are, because we're on this really steep hill. You can see, I mean, I don't know if there's even the camera angle to show it, but it's about 6 inches down here. So this is the real main reason that trees will contract this kind of basal decay, is they're just super buried. And it looks like even in that tree that you're going to do the Ganoderma surgery on, it definitely will benefit from a root collar excavation as well, because that's the main reason. It's just moisture building up. Overall though, I think this looks really good. We're going to clean up a couple other spots with a multi-tool. You can kind of dig in a little deeper and then clean it up. Be safe, but if you're on stable ground, you're not going to have to be laying down under the tree with an angle grinder. So ultimately, I think we got it to a pretty good spot. We're going to do a little more cleanup, and then I'll show you guys the details, and we'll burn. So this is really an excellent example of what a fully complete and comprehensive surgery can look like. We've got incredible wound margins on either side, healthy phloem that's going to be able to actually produce some compounds to seal over on either side of the surgical area. And most importantly, we were able to get pretty much all of the fungus out of the stem here. You can see how far down that goes. We're going to do a root collar excavation with an air spade later in the season when the soil's not so dry, just letting it dry out for now before the wet season, and then we'll kind of come back and clean it up further. But I am so happy with this. This is kind of a perfect example of what a surgical site should look like. Sometimes you don't get it this complete, but ultimately perfect to show. Okay, so this is the surgical area completely burned. You really want to make sure that you get it fully blackened. You can see how smooth it is. That's part of the reason we want to use the angle grinder with the Arbortech wood carving bit, because we want to really make sure that the tree has a super smooth surface to be able to produce reaction wood and callus wood over this area. So typically, if we do suspect that there was fungus still left in the tree, we'll do a trichoderma inoculant, which you can just apply in a pump sprayer, follow the user instructions. But because this was such a comprehensive removal and we have super clean tissue, we're actually going to do our wood salve today. So I'm going to just seal it up, use a little paintbrush, and we're just going to seal it right on there. So this salve is a tung oil base, and then we infuse different tissue repairing herbs, including cultivated white sage, nettle powder, comfrey root powder, and mugwort into the oil. We let that sit for a few months, and then we strain it off. And so the oil has all of those compounds and components of the herbs in there. And then we add neem oil, clove oil, orange oil, and a little bit of bee propolis. This typically will be present on the tree even up to 3 years later when we come to check on surgeries. And you can see just how much more secure it feels. The fire alone, obviously it's really helpful, and it will encourage the tree to produce response growth quickly. But the salve, especially when you know you've really gotten a full comprehensive removal of disease, is nice to just make sure that we've got that added layer of protection. There's many different ways you can do it. You can do a sulfur spray, orange oil spray, again, the trichoderma or beneficial inoculants. But in this case, the tree just needs some salve and to get sealed up fully. So it's really dependent on your circumstance. This is just what I'm doing specifically with this tree today. And that's a wrap on the surgical removal of Armillaria out of a stressed coast live oak. So this is experimental. Our clients have given us permission to be able to experiment here, and I'm really excited to see what happens with this one. The trees on this property have been responding well, so I'm pretty hopeful that we're going to start to see response within a few months, and this tissue's all sealed up. But that's what it's supposed to look like, nice and black all the way around, clean margins, disease removed. And then we'll do the root collar excavation in a little bit. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. This is an experimental technique. It was introduced to me by Dr. Lee Klinger, who's based out of Big Sur. You can find more information about his work at suddenoaklife.org. We are collecting a lot of favorable results from work that we've performed over the last 6 years with these techniques. And of course, Lee has about 15 to 20 years of case studies around surgical removals of particularly Phytophthora ramorum, but also other diseases. Anyways, I'm glad that I was able to put this together for everyone, and I'm really grateful for you all bearing however long this is going to wind up being. And please continue sharing and experimenting, and let's learn together how we can help these trees organically. It's really powerful stuff.